Hi everyone, I'm Representative Katie Porter from California's 45th Congressional District, and I'm joined today with my colleague Cindy Axne, who represents Iowa's 3rd Congressional District. Cindy sits on the Agriculture Committee, and she's introduced an incredibly important bill. It is called I'm going to get this exactly right for you, the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act. I'm really proud to co-sponsor the bill, and I wanted to talk with Cindy today and ask her to explain to everyone why this bill is so important and what it does.
Well, hey, Katie, I'm glad to be here with you. And nothing like a couple of Iowa girls sitting around talking about cattle and the price of beef, right?
Yeah, people might not know that, but I grew up in Iowa. My family still lives in Cindy's district.
Yep.
I was actually, little known fun fact, on the statewide beef promotion team.
Oh.
And I have a t-shirt to prove it. But now my interests in this are more about what it means for consumers. So tell us what the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act would do.
Yeah, so it does what I know you want to see in oversight happen, making sure that consumers aren't being gouged at the grocery store or at the pump. And so what the Cattle Market Transparency Bill does is literally level the playing field. Unfortunately, in this country, like too many other industries, what we've seen is consolidation of markets. And so we've seen a big consolidation of our beef industry. And so we have 4 big players that literally control the market, and so they control how much cattle is purchased and the price that's paid for it. Well, what this has unfortunately done has shoved small producers out to the tune of 17,000 cattle producers every year. That's from Iowa to California and back.
Who are going out of business.
Going out of business because these large meatpacking facilities are purchasing from a concentrated market of individuals, not in a transparent way. And so this bill will literally create a requirement for those big 4 to purchase from the cash market, which are these cattle producers, part of the products that they're purchasing. So we can start seeing what they're paying, we can start leveling the playing field, and when that happens, you know exactly what happens to the people's pocketbooks. It means that they get a fair price because they're not being gouged by a system that they can't see.
Yeah, and I think, when we hear things like consolidation and there are larger companies, we tend to think, well, okay, these are bigger companies. Consolidation is not a good thing for consumers, and it's not a good thing for you in terms of prices, in terms of competition. I'm a capitalist, but we have to know what that means. Capitalism is premised on consumers having choices and choosing the product that's best for them, having competition on price and on quality. And listening to you when you say there are 17,000 producers who are going out of business, I heard Senator Tester from Montana, who's got this kind of bill in the Senate, talking about this. And one of the things he said was he went to be a cattle farmer and graduated from college in like 1974, 1975. That's the year I was born. I'm one generation after him. And continuing to farm cattle wasn't really an option for my family in the wake of the farm crisis and with what's happened. So this is really, really important to continue to give small businesses, family farmers, farmers who are using sustainable practices, the opportunity to compete and to bring their products to market where consumers can choose them if they want to. And I just think we see these monopolies in so many different industries. We're tackling it here with cattle, but there is a bread monopoly in this country. There is a pasta monopoly in this country. There's a cereal monopoly in this country, and it's not serving consumers' bottom lines.
That's right. It's not, and it's about time we make some of these changes. It's been far too long, because what happens when we get into a situation that we're in right now with supply chain disruptions, coming out of a major worldwide healthcare disruption. We're going to see supply chain issues. And when we get to a point where most of our products are coming through some major suppliers and the consumers are having to be beholden to purchasing from them, we get left behind as consumers because we have limited products. We have 17,000 more cattle producers continually leaving every single year. I can guarantee you we'll get down to just 4 of those 4 main packers that are going to be selling the products. That's going to leave out so much of the meat and products that people would like to see. Not only that, it takes away some of the opportunity for types of diverse farming, sustainable farming, new types of farming that I think so many of those who manage our land would like to do. But they're stuck really in a marketplace that they kind of have to be in so that they can put food on their table.
Yeah.
So we got to open this up.
And just to kind of map it out economically, we often talk about monopolies and we think about having a small number of companies who control the selling of something. And we have that with beef. We have 4 companies, right? They control like 85% of the beef processing market. But what this bill really does is tackle the other kind of monopoly, which is vertical, right? Which is that these processors are only buying from large producers.
That's
and
right.
so there's work to be done here to create more farming, more people who are producing the cattle, and then ultimately we'd like to see more processors too. And when you talk about this being an issue about the supply chain, it's also a national security issue.
That's
I mean,
right.
one of the reasons that our country has always supported agriculture, we've tried to support our farmers historically, generation after generation, is the experience of our grandparents in World War II, when there were shortages of things. So when you only have one or two or a handful of companies, it's not good for supply chain. It's not good for resiliency. It's not good for being able to weather natural disasters, whether it's drought, hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever might be coming our way. So I think the big winner here in this bill is going to be consumers and small business. And they are really joining together to get the victory here. And who's opposed is just those four companies who are frankly using the fact that they've squeezed out competitors to be able to charge prices and keep supply low.
Yeah, well, and we need to keep in mind too that when we impact our farmers and our ranchers, we impact rural America to a massive degree. And I always think it's important to point out to all the folks out there in Katie Porter land who are listening to this that we are so intricately connected in this country. Every ball bearing for every Ford Explorer that's built in Detroit is made right in Iowa's 3rd District. So we're helping to put money in the pockets of people in Detroit. Rural America is a key component, no matter if it's upstate New York or if it's down in New Mexico or if it's right in the heartland in Iowa.
And I should add, we have a lot of rural stuff in California, not in the 45th
exactly right.
congressional district, but California is very rural and very agricultural.
That's
right?
right.
It's vegetables, it's fruits, it's nuts.
That's right.
But we want those to be diversified markets. We have our own
Yeah.
market concentration
Yeah.
in those industries that we should talk about sometime.
Yeah.
But it really is about supporting the people who do this work
Yeah.
and about the towns and communities. And having these jobs in every community matters. I grew up in the farm crisis, Cindy, and you remember my parents farmed. They farmed cows, pigs, soybeans, and corn. And the consolidation in those four markets today would have already squeezed them out.
That's exactly right.
And so I really have very, very strong memories as a kid of feeling like growing up in rural Iowa, I didn't know if there'd be a job. I didn't know if I'd be able to carry on the tradition that my family had farming. And that was a terrible feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think this is about making sure that we have opportunity to thrive, to succeed, to start a business, to run a company, to sell products to the marketplace in every part and pocket of this country, because every American deserves opportunity.
That's absolutely right. And making sure that we're supporting our small towns only does positive things for this country. Taking farming away from rural America continues to hurt us. It has hurt us. It has squeezed us at every point in turn. We're certainly seeing that right now with the war with Russia and Ukraine, where our food production is being impacted as well there. It's just so important that we pay attention to our food supply. Interestingly, during COVID, the people in our packing plants were essential workers. Mm-hmm. That's how important this is to our country. And so getting the pricing right, making sure that Americans aren't strapped and aren't gouged, and making sure that we don't continue to conglomerate more so that we drive more people out of the market is really important to get done now.
Yeah, and we see this effect. I mean, I think about me standing in the grocery store in California and looking at the price of hamburger and thinking, yikes, we're not going to have that tonight, right? And then what you want to tell yourself what's higher, but the farmer's getting more. But that's not true.
Right.
So if we go back a decade ago or more, the producer, the farmer, got 60 cents for every dollar of that beef, and today they get 40 cents.
That's right.
And so our farmers are getting less, even as we as consumers are paying more. And that is just there to line the pockets of these handful of conglomerates and their shareholders and their CEOs and their executives. And the rest of us are losing out. So there's a big aspect of this bill that's about standing up to corporate power, leveling the playing field for small producers. And in doing that, it has a huge benefit for consumers.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So you're making 40 cents on a dollar if you're a producer. That's just unacceptable. And secondly, The cash market for these producers used to be 50% of the market. Now that market's down to 20%. So the market itself, if you took 100%, is down to 20%. Then you take each dollar within it, and you're only making 40.
Give them a smaller share.
Right, 40 cents. So they're being gouged every which way,
Yeah.
which way.
And one thing about this bill I want to make sure to mention is that it's bipartisan in the Senate.
Yep.
Your state senator, Senator Grassley, and Senator Tester from Montana are pulling for this. And I think we all want to see that bipartisanship. We want to see people coming together to do what's right for consumers, do what's right for small business. So this is an important marker of that as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Listen, this has it all wrapped up. We're going to lower the prices in the stores. We're going to make sure that we help American farmers. We're going to help rural America across the country. We're going to bring you better beef, for goodness sake. I can tell you that much, because the best beef comes right out of my backyard in Iowa. And we're just going to make sure that we're sending a message, I think, to big industries that you can't hold American families hostage to the pricing that you've decided you want to set. You've got to be true and honest and give our American families what they need and what they can afford.
Yeah, you should have competition.
There you go.
Because that's part of capitalism. I mean, I feel sometimes like some of these corporations, they want the upside of capitalism, which is the ability to pay their CEOs whatever they want and to pay their shareholders what they want, but they don't want the other side of capitalism, which is competition and transparent markets and consumer choice and all the things that are supposed to ultimately generate that. One of the other things I wanted to mention is we talked about this helping the producers. One of the things the administration's done that I'm excited about is create, along with Secretary Vilsack, the Department of Agriculture, is to create a program, a grant program, to help fund startup, regional, local processors for both poultry and meat. And I think that's also going to be really important. People are going to be able to buy the meat and have it processed closer to where they live.
Yeah.
And that's also going to help create, I think, innovations around meat safety and food safety and processing techniques, humane treatment options. So again, competition is going to give consumers choice at a better price.
Yep.
And I think that's why this bill is such an exciting innovation. So I know the title. When I first heard about this bill, I said, the Cattle Market Price Discovery and Transparency Act? What is this? And when I started to read about it, I realized how important it is to really break it down for people so that people across the United States understand how important this bill is.
Listen, sometimes I think that it's hard to really see everything that goes on out here, but this really is just about putting a better product at a better price in Americans' pockets.
Awesome.
Yeah, love it.
Love it.